Hello everyone, I'm happy to welcome to this session, during which we will hear experiences from EU companies in building partnership here in Canada. I'm Delphine Adenot-Owusu, the Executive Director of the EU Chamber of Commerce in Canada, Jüergen. We are a key resource and main point of contact for all EU businesses in Canada and for EU businesses seeking to enter the Canadian market. Before we dig into the conversation with our two speakers of the day, I just want to give you some few reminders. So first, the session is being translated, so please make sure you click on the globe at the bottom of your screen if you want to hear in this session in French. Also remember to log on to slido.com. The code for this session is hashtag CETA Cleantech, and we really encourage you to respond to the poll. It will help us, direct our conversation today. And also please feel free to drop your question in the Slido. Also, if you want to later interact with our speakers, just raise your hand virtually and I will make sure I can give you also the floor. It's a networking session also, so let's make it as interactive as possible, and so we are able to share the best practices. Also, the session will be recorded, so if you don't want to be recorded, again, don't share your video, but again, feel free to go on Slido and really ask all the questions you have. So now I would like to introduce our two speakers for this session. They will give us their experiences from an EU perspective in building partnership here in Canada. So our first speaker is Jüergen. He was born in Austria. He finished his Master of Industrial Engineering at the Technical University of Vienna in 2003. During his university career, he was also very active in the international music and creative industry, and he was involved in the creation of 3 different startup companies. In 2003 and 2004, he was working for McKinsey Company in the business consulting. In 2004, he joined AVL in Graz, Austria as a development engineer in the fuel cell activity. Since 2012, he's responsible for the fuel cell, hydrogen, and Power-to-X development activities of AVL globally. Jüergen has a unique expertise in fuel cells, energy system, and hydrogen as a result from more than 300 development projects he has been involved with. Our second speaker of the day is, I will say his name in French, Jeroen. He joined Water Treatment Technology WTT, the Dutch subsidiaries of Converters Group, in 2011 as a sales manager. He was later on promoted in 2013 to managing director, where he managed all the facets of the business. Prior to WTT, Jeroen was the regional director of the ING Bank in the Netherlands. And with an extensive background in managing relationship and relationship banking, Jeroen was the driving force of the renewing WTT's strategic direction. This new business model led to the merge with the Canadian operation of Renewi, forming the Converters Group. Today, as Chief Development Officer of Converters Group, Jeroen is responsible for the design, build, and service pillar with a primary focus on global sales and business developments. So Jüergen and Jeroen, welcome to this session. As the Executive Director of the EU Chamber of Commerce in Canada, I'm really happy and excited actually to hear about your experiences with this EU background here in building partnership here in Canada. So maybe we can start with you, Jüergen. Could you share your experience?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, Delphine, for the nice introduction. So to introduce our experience, I want to show a very short presentation, which I will try to bring up now. So theoretically, you should see it already. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Great. So first slide is a little bit of introduction. AVL is not a very much known company in the public domain, but a lot of people have at least some connection to it. So AVL is a privately held company, and we are an engineering company. We are supporting typically the automotive industry in developing powertrain. So all our mission is today around clean, affordable mobility. And so what our typical business is, we support truck and passenger car and lots of other categories, manufacturers to develop their powertrains. We do not sell hardware products. We support them in developing the complete powertrain. And we do that from 1948. So we have started in 1948 with combustion engines, and we moved, of course, also in these new technologies like battery electric and also fuel cell electric powertrains. So a few numbers to our company. So it's, as I said, privately held. It's founded in 1948. We have today roughly 12,000 employees worldwide. We spend a lot of our turnover in R&D because basically our product is brain power. So 10% of our turnover is spent on R&D. We have no production, therefore most of our staff is really engineers and scientists. We have a lot of patents because that's somehow how we secure our working area and also the working area of our customers. About 2 billion, it's actually not on this slide, about 2 billion euros turnover in 2019. And we have 3 strategic business areas, as we call it. I was mostly referring at the moment to the left one, engineering service, which means we support our customers in powertrain development for combustion engines, hybrids, batteries, and fuel cells. We do the same actually also for other applications, for example, marine, rail, and even aerospace. But most of our business is in automotive. We have a second big business, which is instrumentation and test systems. So AVL is the global leader in providing test equipment to the automotive industry. So for example, complete vehicle testing, powertrain testing, combustion engine testing, battery testing, fuel cell testing. We are the market leader in supplying these products to our customers. And then on the third side, we have a very small business unit called Advanced Simulation Technologies. So we focus on model-based development. So a lot of our development is in the first step in the virtual domain. And therefore, we need very sophisticated simulation tools. And we are also developing and actually selling these simulation tools as commercial software solutions to our customers. And why we are here in this session, I think that's because we started a tech center in Vancouver, Canada, 2.5 years ago. Why Vancouver, Canada? Because Vancouver, Canada is a little bit the birthplace of industrial fuel cells. So there's a very strong community there with companies, with universities. So lots of know-how, lots of experience, lots of very, very good and experienced people. And therefore, we decided to set up a specific hydrogen and fuel cell tech center in Vancouver. So it's in northern Burnaby. And it's in this facility, what you can see on the picture. We have hired about 35 very experienced people out of the fuel cell area. Most of them are local Canadians. And we also installed, what you can also see on the picture, even a test and development center. So it's not only an engineering office, we have also invested in a test and development center where we can test fuel cells and also prototype them to build them up for our customers. We will not install production, as I said before, because we are not in the production. We are basically only on the development, but still, of course, we are responsible in most of our projects also for testing and validation. And therefore, we need a test center, which we have now also in Vancouver. And for example, one particular project which we have executed already with our new team in Vancouver is a fuel cell development for a heavy-duty truck. So as you can see here, this is really what on the right picture is what has been developed by our team in Vancouver. It's a 100 kilowatt fuel cell stack, as we call it. And this has really been completely developed in Vancouver by our team. And it will be used to be put into a complete fuel cell system, which is capable to provide about 300 kilowatt of propulsion power to a fuel cell hydrogen, a fuel cell truck, which basically we are developing right now and which will hit the road somewhere in the mid of next year, but only as a technology demonstrator, as a prototype, as we are not a vehicle OEM, but we want to show our technology, we want to show our solutions to our customers, and therefore we need to do also prototype vehicles. And so far, our experience with our team in Vancouver has really been very excited and very positive. And we are very much looking forward to expand this in the future. And thanks very much. That was my introduction.
Thank you very much, Jürgen. We'll go maybe later. We'll first hear Jeroen, and maybe later we'll dive a little bit more in how you build this partnership here in Canada. So Jeroen, over to you, and then we will have some questions.
Yes. I think, Stephanie, are you sharing the screen? Yeah, that's coming. My name is Jeroen van der Mark. I'm the CDO, Chief Development Officer of the Converters Group. And what is the Converters Group doing? We are treating around 350,000 tons of Canada's organic waste. And this makes us the second largest organic waste operator of Canada at the moment. The Converters Group is a merge between the Canadian assets of Renewi, together with a Dutch engineering firm called WTT, Waste Treatment Technologies. Waste Treatment Technologies have built 115 organic waste treatment facilities worldwide, and wanted to enlarge their operations footprint mainly in Canada, and that's what driven the merge. So basically, we have one company with a knowledge team in the Netherlands and the operations in Canada. Next slide, please, Delphine. Yeah, you can shift one further down. So what we're doing, we do a front-to-end service profile for our customers, which are mainly Canadian municipalities. We are design building their facilities. We are operating their facilities, and we're servicing their facilities. So basically, our clients are the municipalities. They are bringing the waste to our facilities, and we are building them. We have 4 facilities in Canada, one in Nanaimo in Vancouver Island, one in Surrey, BC, one in Ontario, London, and the second one on the East Coast is in Ottawa. Again, 350,000 tons of organic waste, and we're turning that into a biological fuel, which is biogas, and we upgrade the gas. And for example, in Surrey, all the waste collection driving on the gas of that facility. Then the digestate, we're turning that into a quality compost, and the quality compost is used in the city park. So we see that as the first closed loop biofuel facility of North America. Next slide, please. So basically, what we have tried to do, we have on the right side, we have the existing Renewi operations with an operations manager, a maintenance lead, and a process lead responsible for the operations of the particular facility. And we have on the left side, we have the WTT business model with the projects, where our service and maintenance team and our process design and optimization team is more or less directly linked to the maintenance lead and the process lead. So this is how we try to integrate both of our businesses into one business. The merge was closed on the 1st of October 2019. So not too much later, COVID hit us. So we were foreseeing a lot of traveling between the companies, but unfortunately, since March last year, we were not able to travel at all, which made this more difficult and challenging. But I can tell now, with 1 year under our belt, that this is going really well. We really optimized the operations. Plants are more efficient, having more throughput, are cleaner, are better maintained. So it works really well. And we believe the most important thing is to drive a company that has offices on both sides of the pond, to drive it by values. Next sheet, please. So we put a lot of time and thinking into these values. The 3 values of our company are care, one team, and creativity. And we try to identify that both teams in the Netherlands, the Knowledge Center, and the operations in Canada, to identify with these values. And as soon as they identify with the same values, you see a whole one team atmosphere being created, and that is working really well for us. So for my introduction, Delphine, thanks.
Great, thank you very much. I think now we have a great overview of the scope of your activity, and now we have some questions mostly regarding your Canadian journey and how you managed to build this partnership, because it's 2 different kind of sectors, but also kind of how you came to Canada. So we want to understand what has worked, what has not worked in your Canadian journey, and what's advices you could give to our audience who are listening today. To all the participants, really, I invite you to turn your camera and put your names, your title, and and your employer into the chat room. The target is to make it again very interactive. So feel free to put all your questions in Slido, or even raise your hand and ask your question directly to the panelists. So Jeroen and Jüergen, the first question, I think that's what it was more interesting for our audience, is what was really helpful in terms of support when you expanded your business here in Canada? As a representative of a chamber, I would say chambers of commerce, but obviously I guess you will have a different view on that. So yeah, if you could tell us which organization or which type of support you get when you came here in Canada. Maybe Jüergen, you want to start?
Yeah, from my side, I think generally it was we are very happy with how it worked out. We got a lot of support actually from the Canadian embassy, also in Austria, which helped us a lot to get the right contacts then in Canada. I think generally I was not too much involved in all the administrative parts, so I cannot comment on that because we basically then hired very quickly local support to help us in setting up all the permissions and the company registrations and all these things. But it was done very, very quickly, so I assume that it was very efficient, as I understand. Yeah, I think that's what I can say. So it worked quite well. We didn't hit big showstoppers or anything, so it went quite smooth.
And if I may ask, what pushed you to choose Vancouver as a destination for your test and development center?
Yeah, that was clearly the competence there in this city, because it's, as I said before, a little bit the birthplace of fuel cells with big companies there like Ballard. The academia there's a lot of research going on in local universities. Actually, this is one thing which, if I would build it from the scratch, I would do differently. So probably it would be better for the cooperation model with Austria to have it in the east coast of Canada, because the time difference of 9 hours is in daily operation really challenging.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, maybe that's actually that's another question. What you would have done differently, but maybe you can extend on that later on. Jeroen, what's your feedback?
Similar. It's definitely the embassies on both sides of the pond. So the Canadian embassy in The Hague in the Netherlands was extremely helpful, but also the embassy and the consulate in Vancouver and Toronto helped us a lot as well. We have I think monthly meetings with the Consul General Henk Snoeke of the Netherlands in Vancouver, and they are really helping us with getting in touch with the right people. Of course, we are a municipal business, so it's always good to have a warm introduction from one of the governments. So that's extremely helpful.
Great. Another question that actually kind of raised curiosity for our audience is, and Jüergen, you kind of touched base on that, but what you would do differently if you had the chance to do it again?
Yeah, as I said, from our side, the location is for sure difficult from the time difference.
Yeah.
But as we went there because of competence, this was not really an option to choose Vancouver. Actually, originally it was a little bit for AVL. It was a little bit planned in a different way. So actually, we tried at the beginning to hire people out of Vancouver to come to one of our existing affiliates or tech centers, but we learned very quickly that people who live in Vancouver don't want to leave Vancouver. And I understand that today because I have spent a lot of time there. So it's a very nice environment. And therefore we quickly decided, actually it was decided by our CEO over a weekend to set up a local tech center there because there was no chance to get the people to our existing tech centers.
Jeroen, what would you have done differently?
Yeah, the obvious answer is not to start up a merge 6 months before a big pandemic hits our globe. But that I'm afraid that's a bit too easy. Yeah, the difficult. I think what we should have done is to buy a bit more time, especially in establishing the team and responsibilities worldwide. I think there's quite a big difference in culture, Canada compared to the Netherlands. Although we go really well together, there is still a big difference, and we should have put a bit more thinking and face time, which was not possible, of course, but into before we set it up the team and the different layers in our company.
But what
look,
do you mean?
Look a bit more at culture.
Yeah, like on the cultural differences, right? That's what you mean.
Yeah,
okay.
That's exactly what I mean.
Okay, it's interesting, but I guess also it depends on the sectors and obviously always who you are working with. But the general overview that I get from EU companies usually that still Canada is kind of like-minded to the EU, and it's still easier maybe to do business with Canada than maybe go straight to the US market where the cultural difference is it's another step. But yeah, it's obviously it's also the organization you are working with, etc., which makes every experience different. On one of the poll, the question on the most helpful thing to build a global partnership, by far, I guess, and everybody would agree, is really to have a local partner overseas, which obviously is indeed very important in all kind of partnership. Do you want to comment on this, Jüergen? I mean, how important it is to really rely on somebody who knows the local kind of environment?
Yeah, for sure it's important. I mean, AVL is a global company. We are in all the markets with a relevant automotive industry, and the strategy is always to build the local affiliates with local people. So we do not send people out of Graz. We really have all everywhere in the world really local people leading the local companies that's very important. That's from our point of view the cultural aspect. And we also follow this with our Canadian affiliate, but this we did already before, so this was not a specific exercise for this one.
Okay. And Jeroen, on having a strong local partner? Yeah,
for us it's a bit different because we were merging with an established company, and that company, the Renew ES, has already had 50 employees in Canada, East Coast and West Coast, with an office in London, Ontario, and an office in Surrey, BC. So yeah, of course that's extremely helpful. For us, the challenge was more in that in merging those two companies together.
Yeah. And okay, so far we've been talking of maybe challenges or what you would have done differently. Is there anything that you would have, I mean, that was kind of easier than what you had expecting in entering the Canadian markets?
I think from our side it was already to some extent mentioned. I think the cultural part of that was very easy. Yeah. Because we are not so much entering the market, because we are not basically selling to the Canadian market, but we set up a tech center, which is very important for us. And these people there have a very, very close relationship with the other affiliates of AVL worldwide. So we spread projects really across our global tech center network. So for example, on the fuel cell side, we do the fuel cell system design and the vehicle integration out of Graz, and only the cell development in Vancouver. Therefore, there's a lot of interfaces, a lot of interactions. And I think that the cultural aspect worked perfectly fine and very, very quickly. That was definitely easier. We have done similar things with in Asia, in Japan, Korea, China, and also in the United States. And I think with Canada and Vancouver, it worked definitely faster and easier than in other regions.
Yeah, this is definitely some feedback that we get globally. I mean, really, no matter what the sector from EU companies, really like the like-minded kind of mindsets between the EU and Canada, and how kind of easy it is to adapt to this new culture of and environments. Jeroen, any easier step on your side?
Yeah, no, I think what was really surprising for us was the government support. There's a real clear roadmap which is supporting cooperation between Canadian and European, in my case, Dutch companies, and that has been that felt like a warm bath. So that was extremely helpful.
Yeah, sorry, it's also, yeah, one of the comments we get that the government Canadian government is really supporting companies, well, obviously in our case from the EU to develop. So that's it's interesting that you as a company also feel it. Where do you hope your partnership or your expansion will be in the coming, let's say, 5 years? How do you see things evolving, Jüergen?
I would say our outlook is very positive. We are also hiring right now at the moment a lot of people. So in generally, if you look into the media in the energy side, the hydrogen topic is really gaining a lot of momentum, and therefore also our projects. And we are at the moment hiring, and our midterm plan is definitely to more or less double or even triple the employees in our Vancouver tech center, and also the test capacity. So we are definitely here on a strong, aggressive growth part, and we definitely want to grow this tech center.
Great. And Jeroen, where do you see your merge in 5 years? How will it look like?
Yeah, it's rather similar, like Jüergen's. We want to become the largest and most advanced organic waste operator from North America. That means that we want to at least double in volume. So we're now treating 350,000 tons. So by the end of 2025, we want to do at least 700,000 tons. Ontario and BC they're going to ban organics going to landfill. So there is a lot of undercapacity in the market, and we're happy to fill that gap.
Okay, again, to the audience, if you have some specific question, we are here to answer them. So feel free to drop them in the chat or even raise your hand. I don't think I've seen any, but yeah, we are here to answer your question, and mostly I mean, the target is really to understand how two companies managed to come to Canada, and were their journey in terms of adapting to the culture and forming partnerships. So again, it's also a way for you to have some knowledge and best practices shared with you. But while questions are coming, I actually do have a quite not personal question, but related to obviously my position. Maybe you will not be able to give me a deep answer because of your role in the organization, but could you maybe mention like how CETA helped you in any way on the administrative side? Because obviously today we know that CETA, we know CETA for trade, which is great, but CETA is also much more than that. So have you used, like, for example, CETA in terms of investment, in terms of labor mobility, because this is what also CETA offers. So I understand it might be a little bit a tricky question, but yeah, I'm interested in knowing that. And I guess for our audience, coming from the EU and having this CETA agreement is really something that I invite a company to use and to dive into to make sure their Canadian journey is a success. Maybe Jüergen, if you have anything to say around.
Yeah, I can partly comment on that because I was not too much involved in the details, but I personally got some as a framework. I think it was helpful. I was introduced to it also in an event at the Austrian embassy the Canadian embassy in Austria. So there was some introduction to it, and I got some very good contacts there, which were helpful. But if we use specific instruments out of that, actually, to be honest, I don't believe so. But I would also not have been in charge for that.
Yeah. And Jeroen, what will be your?
Same here. I can't. I'm not in a position to share much details on that, unfortunately.
Yeah, no. I know it's a difficult question because it's obviously, I mean, Canada is also a chosen country to develop and expand because of what it represents. Of course, CETA adds, and CETA is a tool to add any facility on that. We have, I mean, there's one question. What's the best time in terms of a company's development to build an international partnership? Because, I mean, it's important not to go too early, but also important not to go too late. So for you, I mean, if we put COVID on the side, mostly for Jeroen, what's a good timing for a company to start expanding the markets? Jüergen, you want to start?
Yeah, Iman, I can only partly comment to that because AVL was already an established company when we did that. And also, as I said before, we are not so much interested in the local Canadian market. We went to Vancouver because of the expertise of people there. So our motivation to go there was a completely different one and not related to the Canadian local market. But generally, I would say, you need first to establish yourself somehow in your local market, I would advise. But then you need to understand also with local people, other markets, understand them. But I think you should also not go too early into the global scale.
Jeroen, maybe you have a good experience on that.
Yeah, but the way we did it, we were active in the European market of organic waste treatment just as a design builder. Now that market was maturing, so we looked for other markets, and we started our representative offices in China, Australia, and Canada. And we were just have a few pilot projects there to see how the market was developing. Yeah, of course, the Canadian market is extremely interesting for us for several reasons. The way the organic waste is source separated. How the waste is looking, how the market is developing, the landfill ban that is going to be introduced. So, yeah, I can go on for a while, but it's a lot of checks in the right boxes. But the deal was actually opportunity driven. So it was Renewi deciding to sell those Canadian assets. But yeah, that was a great start for us to establish ourselves in this market.
Okay, great. And I mean, I have a kind of obvious question, and you mentioned some kind of answer in your previous answers. It's what was the impact of COVID on the development? Obviously, I mean, Jüergen, you are saying you are not selling something, you are recruiting, but is there, I mean, yeah, what's the COVID impact, and do you think without COVID it would have gone faster for you? I mean, would your project would have gone faster and further? What's your feedback on that?
No, definitely yes. COVID had a big impact on the automotive industry. So 80-90% of our business is automotive. So also we had a strong hit of our turnover in the range of -10 to 12%. So of course it delayed a lot of things. In particular, our customers delayed a lot of projects, development projects. Everything had to have been postponed. But I think for specific our tech center in Vancouver, the impact was rather limited, because at the beginning, in any case, we would have set up an internal program to develop our technology, which we have done. I want to mention here, very helpful was the support from the Canadian government during the COVID situation. I think that was very helpful, very unbureaucratic as I understood it. It's highly appreciated from our side. But now we see the business to some extent recovering. And now we are back on a very, very strong growth part. So we came good through the situation, but of course it had a significant impact.
Jeroen?
Yeah, I think it was rather it had a positive and a negative impact. The positive impact was that our organic waste treatment is marked as essential in Canada. So basically, we have been able to treat the waste as normal, so to say. But of course, we had big plans related to the integration of the both companies, which involved a lot of traveling. And all of a sudden we were sitting behind the screen. You're getting used to it, but it's at the beginning it's rather difficult. Although I have to say I was rather worried from the beginning, but now with a year further, you get used to it, and we're making good progress. So yeah, I'm still satisfied.
Yeah, that's the thing. I guess, I mean, in business we all become pretty much resilient, and we also understand that things can now be done not necessarily with the traveling. So it's also a new way of working, and a good way of understanding that it's possible. Not everything is possible, but at least a little bit. Before we end the session, I just like to understand if you have one last comment, one last advice, or if there's anything you wish you were asked during this session. I mean, what will be your takeaway for our audience today?
I think just from my side, I think in particular everything around hydrogen, Canada is a very, very interesting country. So everybody should look into that, because not only the competence which is there, but also the natural resources to produce clean hydrogen in the future. There's lots of potential there, and I think if you're in this industry, you cannot bypass Canada. And I can encourage only everybody. It's a pleasure to work with Canadians, and we had a very, very good experience in setting up our facility there.
And Jeroen?
Yeah, a bit similar. Everybody should know that organic waste treatment is really important for our environment. I'm going to ask everybody if they have a minute to watch the compost story. You can easily Google it. You find a YouTube film that explains everything, how important it is to bring our nutrients back into the earth. And again, Canada is a warm but for us. We're happy that we are there, and I don't think I have any further comments.
Great. No, thank you very much, Jüergen and Jeroen, for this share of experience from an EU perspective coming into Canada. It's true that EU and Canada share the same kind of idea on clean tech, and I think there's a lot of really opportunity for EU companies or EU institution and Canadian company or institution to really partner together. Just as we said, EU and Canada are really like-minded countries, and the opportunity for partnership are really, immense in this clean tech sector, being a really priority sector for both for the EU and for Canada. And again, coming back with CETA, CETA is really here to support. CETA is a great agreement that allows opportunities in much more than trade. Again, investment, government procurement, labor mobility. So I really invite the EU companies here in the panel today to really use CETA as a safe tool to really explore the Canadian market in this sector. And yeah, I think we are done for the session, unless anybody would like to ask a final question or a final notes. Great. So you will have now, I think, a 5-minute break, and then I invite you to join the next session on government procurement, government programs supporting cleantech partnerships, between SMEs. Again, thank you very much, Jüergen and Jeroen, for this session today. It was very informative, and we hope we'll connect on the platform for more exchanges. Thank you very much, everyone. Yeah.
Hi, Delphine. Sorry, we do have a couple of minutes, and I noticed that Rupert had put his hand up. Rupert, did you want to go ahead and ask your question?
I don't see the hand.
Oh, he's lowered it now. Maybe you answered his question.
Okay. Yeah, feel free to just turn on your camera or turn on your microphone if you want to ask a question. Indeed, we still have 4 minutes to go. I'm trying to find.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Apologies, I was having technical difficulties rather than anything else. So apologies for the delay. It's just really a final note. I wanted to thank both the speakers, both for the presentations, but more importantly for setting up and their experience in Canada. I'm British Columbia's Trade and Investment Representative in Europe with the team here. So good to hear them talking about the government support piece, which I think is obviously it's always nice. And we work very closely with both federal colleagues and with the various consulates, the Dutch and the German consulate, the Austrian consulates and so on. So part of that whole picture, but really I think as they both identified, it has to make business sense for them and for others on the line, which is often whether it's about talent or opportunity, market opportunity. I think those are always two of the big ones. Those have to be in place. But where we and federal colleagues and others can come in is helping identify those and making that journey smoother. So really, thank you to them and any other companies on the line who would like to at least have that sort of initial discussion about whether it's right, then do please get in touch. I'm connected through the app and all of that. So, and thank you to you for hosting it. Great to be part of it.
Thank you, Rupert. That's great to have a feedback also from you. Any last comment, questions, interaction you would like to have? Stephanie, I think I don't see any hands up, but please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I don't see any others there.
Okay, great. So yes, again, thank you very much, Jüergen and Jeroen. Thank you to all the participants who came and listened to their experience. And let's connect on the Whova platform. And yeah, feel free also to connect with also Jüergen if you want more information also on CETA and cleantech sector. Thank you very much, everyone, and see you on the chat side or in the networking session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.